My name's Christina Tanninen. I'm 22 years old and I am a swimmer. I swam 4 years at Florida Gulf Coast University and I started my swim career at 7 years old. I am from Toronto, Canada, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, so I am considered a foreigner. I started swimming when I was 7 years old, and from there, you know, you kind of grow up with the sport and you kind of swimming every day until all the way up until your senior year of high school. About your junior year of high school, you start preparing for university or college, as we call it here, and you figure out, you know, the places that you want to go and where you would best fit in with your times and how much money you would get from each of the schools. It worked out for me because I ended up emailing a bunch of coaches. Really, all they care about when you're emailing them is your times. Like, that's all they care about. Then secondly, they'll look at your grades. Then they'll come and like send you out for a recruiting trip and see how you fit with the team. My father was an Olympic swimmer for the 1980s. He represented Finland. It was in the Russia Olympics. And it's funny because he never actually wanted my brother and I to go into swimming. He actually forbid it to my mom and said, I don't want them to going into swimming, because he swam with the best coach in the world at that time, John Talbot, who was a coach from Australia. And it was so brutal back then. Like, he knew all the commitment and all the determination it took and the beating you had to take to go every day in swimming. So he never really wanted us to go. But it kind of was a turning point when my brother didn't know how to swim, and he was the only kid in his daycare that didn't know how to swim, and my dad was embarrassed. So he was like, okay, I need to at least, I'm an Olympic swimmer, I need to at least teach him how to swim. And he taught him in one night how to start swimming laps. So I think he knew right then that my brother had the talent. So then I started seeing my brother, and I wanted to do everything my brother did. And so then it turns out that my parents tried to put me in every other sport, and I was awful at every other sport. I tried gymnastics, soccer, baseball, skating, the list goes on. But the first time in the water, I was natural, absolute natural, and I loved it. And ever since then, my parents just kept me in it, and my dad kind of lost. The other thing about my dad is he was always a big influence on my swimming. He would always be the coach on the sidelines and tell me, you know, what I needed to do. And every time I took his advice, I always swam my best. He's always been the biggest influence on my swimming career. And whenever I swam during university and I would do good times, or I would say practices I did, he was the first person I'd call and be like, Dad, guess what? Oh my gosh, I did this in practice. And he was just always my #1 fan. My dream was to go somewhere warm for swimming. So, you know, because you're in a pool twice a day, why not be outside, enjoy the sun, and, you know, get a tan while you're doing a really hard workout. So I decided that, you know, Florida Gulf Coast, they were offering me a full ride scholarship. So that was my dream from a little kid, so to come and pursue that dream. So I decided to choose Florida Gulf Coast.
My name is Dan Jamar. I'm actually been a coach for 24 years. I'm from Sweden. I started as to coach when I was actually in middle school. I actually first met her when she was on a recruiting trip, and she's always really outgoing. She's always like laughing, bubbly, funny. But she also can be a little bit temperamental, especially when it comes in practice, when we do things that she don't really like. She asks why we have to do it or something like that. She has a very strong personality. There are kind of two aspects to the swimming. One is the stroke mechanics to be efficient, and the other one is the endurance and the strength part. And one of my strengths as a coach is the technical aspect, to do the strokes proper, to be efficient, to do the turns as well as possible. And that's what I kind of focus on. So whereas the other coaches work on just keeping the swimmers going, I try to keep them going and make sure they do everything correctly.
I think in the end, it helps me out and it shows my organization and my motivation, and when people see that on a resume, they know the amount of work it takes to be a student athlete. You know, to be able to maintain a 3.8 GPA and swim twice a day. It works out in the end, but during the time, it wasn't always the best and most fun thing to do because, you know, you don't get to hang out with friends. The swim girls become your family and they become your friends. And, you know, sometimes dealing with 40 girls every single day can be a little bit rough because girls are naturally catty and that's the way it gets. So, you know, it's just like you're all there at the same time. So it's sometimes you get a little bit tired and you want to have other friends outside of the swimming. So mentally, swimming has really made me strong. You know, when I think I can't overcome something or I think that there's an obstacle in my way, I know I have the capabilities of going through it.